travelers, and welcome to Go See, Do Explore.
Here, we dive deep into the heart of travel, sharing hidden gems, unforgettable experiences, and the stories that make each destination unique.
Whether you're a seasoned traveler or dreaming of your next getaway, you're in the right place to get inspired.
I'm Christopher.
And I'm Ashleigh.
And together, we'll set the course for your next great adventure and discover the stories that make each place unforgettable.
It's time to go, see, and do more. Let's explore. Hello, our faithful listeners. We are back with another episode of Go See, Do Explore. And we are doing another news roundup episode. So these are news articles that came out between when we released the September news podcast and the day that we're recording this.
Yep. And I have not read any of them.
You have not read any of them.
So once again, I get to react.
That's Chris's job on this podcast. He's the reactor. All right. So our first piece of news is that the Hopper app released the dates that you should book your holiday flights by. And so this is if you are planning on traveling Thanksgiving or Christmas, the Hopper app believes the prices will only go up after October 14th. So by the time you're listening to this, you will have 2 days.
Yeah. This comes out, like the 11th or the 12th? Something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, be prepared to to purchase those flights on the 14th.
I'm making a note right now.
Right. They're a flight booking service that kind of estimates when you will find the best price based on historical data. And so it'll tell you what the current prices are of your flight and then if you should buy now or if you should wait. And now other services do that as well.
Yeah.
But Hopper was kind of one of the first ones.
Yeah.
But so get ready to buy your flights if you have holiday travel plans.
That sounds about right to me. October 15th sounds about right, typically. So hurry up.
Yep. Get out your credit card. You have work to do this weekend.
Yeah. Now, that said, I feel like if you're traveling somewhere that's not a big holiday destination, you might be okay. So, if you're going to Manitoba or something like that.
But, the thing with Christmas...
People going home, you're
right. Yes,
yeah,
Christmas and Thanksgiving, the trends aren't as clear as some of the other big traveling times of the year because people are going back to see family.
Especially if their family lives somewhere nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got to go visit that family in Florida. Got to escape the cold.
Yeah. What's next?
All right. So our next headline is that Spirit is in talk with its bondholders over potential bankruptcy.
Oh, they said they weren't going bankrupt, though.
They lied.
Well, maybe we'll see, I guess, if they're talking about it.
Yeah, they haven't filed yet, but they are talking with their bondholders and creditors about whether Chapter 11 is the right option for them.
It's too bad. I mean, I know that there are really mixed opinions about Spirit Airlines, but seeing the ultra low cost carriers being some of the most profitable airlines only a few years ago to seeing where they're at now, and just my opinion, seeing our government basically let that happen by not allowing a merger is tough. And I know that if Spirit Airlines, Chapter 11 isn't a liquidation, but if Spirit Airlines has to reduce their capacity or their flights, something like that, I know they will be affected by that with Detroit as our hub. Even if we weren't flying Spirit per se, like fewer Spirit flights in Detroit means decreased capacity in Detroit, which means other flights are probably going to go up in the absence of any other changes. So I hope it all works out for them.
Mm-hmm. But that merger was bad for consumers.
Yeah.
We don't need to go into that.
No.
We don't need to talk about really old news on this episode.
Yeah.
I guess Spirit has an upcoming deadline in October to renegotiate more than $1.1 billion in debt. And just a few days ago, they scrapped 32 routes, affecting areas like Boston and Dallas-Fort Worth the most.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just hearing this for the first time, but Boston's a big JetBlue place, and Dallas Southwest has a strong presence, and then obviously it's dominated by American, but I mean, I can't help but notice the JetBlue connection to Boston there. It seems like that. Anyway, let's move on.
If you do have any upcoming flights on Spirit, I would recommend that you get yourself some travel insurance if you don't already have it, because you may be looking at some cancellations and needing to come up with alternatives really quickly.
Yeah.
All right. So this one, there's been a little bit of drama with the FAA and an issue with the 737. The FAA has said that everything is safe, but there is now a letter from the NTSB saying that that is not true. So the chair of the National Transportation Safety Board issued a letter to the FAA saying the FAA did not seem to be taking NTSB safety recommendations seriously for a recently identified issue with the Boeing 737 part. Earlier in the week, the NTSB issued an urgent safety recommendation warning that a rudder control component on some Boeing 737 models could become non-functional in certain cold weather conditions. In response, the FAA said that it addressed the issue and was not aware of any affected parts being in service at any U.S. airlines. But Monday's letter suggests that the FAA isn't doing all it could to address the issue. This was prompted by an issue of a United Airlines flight in February that lost control. The letter said that it is incorrect for the FAA to suggest that the parts are no longer in service on U.S. airlines. According to the NTSB, based on the information it received from Boeing and the part manufacturer, as many as 16 of the affected part may still be in service on U.S. aircraft.
Okay, so they just disagree about the facts, I guess.
Yeah, they also dinged Boeing for not alerting other airlines to a potentially faulty part more proactively.
Yeah. Okay. More boring drama, I guess.
Yep. Boeing, I don't know how they're doing these days, but can't be doing too well. Going along with that, the FAA is ceasing its increased oversight of United Airlines.
I forgot what caused that. Was it the same incident?
There was a string of United safety-related incidents. Most spectacularly, on March 7th, a tire fell off a United Boeing 777 while departing San Francisco to Osaka.
Got it.
The tire landed on an employee parking lot.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
But the FAA says that they are not doing anything that is unsafe.
Well, that's good, I guess.
Yeah, they're backing off, I guess.
Okay.
All right. In other airline news, starting in 2025, Southwest Airlines will begin selling assigned seats.
Oh, interesting. I guess we have to fly Southwest here in the next month or two because I want to experience the chaos that everyone always talks about.
No, thank you. Besides the fact that Southwest until recently didn't show up in, third-party searches, I've never once seen a Southwest flight that's a better deal than Delta or American out of Detroit. But the way they currently board their planes is one reason that I would stay far, far away. Although some people say that it allows you, if you don't mind getting to the airport really early, checking in really early, it could get you a better seat than paying on other airlines. But
yeah. I like seeing the people lining up with the poles and stuff. It's always amusing to me.
Southwest is claiming that 80% of its customers want assigned seating.
Yeah.
Along with 86% of other people who fly other airlines.
Well, I know that I mentioned in another podcast that as I've been flight searching now, I'm seeing Southwest show up for the first time, which has been crazy. They're just becoming more typical in terms of the way that they operate, which I'm sure diehard Southwest fans probably don't like, but I think the majority of air travelers like the consistency, I would say.
And I can't help but feel like this is kind of going hand in hand with Spirit's issues. Like Spirit's struggling, and so they're going to try to pick up some of those Spirit customers.
Maybe.
And Southwest will also offer extra legroom options with up to 5 additional inches of pitch for approximately a third of its seats while maintaining a standard economy seat pitch among the best in the industry. I mean, Spirit and Frontier are both doing this now, where they have, Spirit's had the big front seats for a while, but that they have these, higher end options on these budget flights. So it doesn't surprise me that Southwest is going to go there as well.
Yep.
Southwest is also formalizing partnerships with international carriers, beginning with Iceland Air.
Wow.
So flights from Baltimore, Washington are slated to begin in 2025. And they will also have customizable vacation bundles called Getaways by Southwest.
Oh, that's like I think of that as a very British thing. These like travel packages that include airfare. I was just thinking about that actually the other day, completely unrelated to this, about how you don't see as much of that here. I wonder if Southwest sees that as an opportunity, or if I'm just reading too much into things, because I was thinking about that the other day randomly.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like in the modern internet era, I don't need a package. It's not that hard to book everything myself. But I guess if you're somebody that doesn't have the time or doesn't care to do that, I guess that's helpful for you.
Like, I think about when we were in Sicily and all those British people that they're at that hotel there. They probably all like bought this package that got them flights to Sicily, got them to this hotel, took them to whatever beach that hotel was associated with. And then they were all hanging out at that like bar right there on the side of the road, which was awesome. It was really fun. But yeah, the package vacation thing, I've heard Noel Phillips mention them too. And I'm like, yeah, I've never done that.
I mean, the closest thing I feel like I've ever done is when I was a kid and we would take vacations on the Big Red Boat, and you would get like a Disney World hotel package with that.
That's more like it's related. It's more like an upsell though, right? Versus like, this is just like your one. I guess the cruise lines do that. They'll like do your airfare and stuff like that too, but it's always a terrible deal.
Yeah,
like,
and they put you on terrible flights. And
yeah. Anyway, that's cool.
Yeah. So last month, I talked about SAS Airlines, which is a Scandinavian airline coming out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Yeah, good job.
But they're in the headlines again, and not for a good reason.
Oh, no.
A Scandinavian Airlines flight was diverted after a mouse jumps out of a passenger's meal.
Yeah, wow. You wonder how that happened, right?
Right.
Because it could be, I mean, it's not good no matter what, but like it could be like fairly innocent, or it could be really not. how it got to that point.
Right.
It could just be that it was in the airport and it like scurried onto the plane, or it could be like bad sanitation, right?
Right. A spokesperson for the airline is quoted as saying, "We made a very normal landing, not an emergency landing," which has been wrongly stated in some media in Copenhagen, in order to change aircraft and catering, which is fully normal procedure when a rodent is found on board.
Yeah.
They didn't crash land the airplane.
So, but like they weren't supposed to land in Copenhagen, right?
No.
So probably, I mean, I can understand objecting to use of the word emergency, but it wasn't a normal landing.
No.
Because they wouldn't have landed there.
The flight was Malaga from Oslo. So.
Yeah, okay.
Speaking of JetBlue is opening airport lounges in JFK and in Boston.
Okay.
Once again, trying to change the way they do things after the JetBlue Spirit merger was blocked.
Yeah, I think we talked in was it last month's news that they were doing some upmarket-y kind of thing? I don't remember what it was, but there was something. Anyway, it's not that important, but I remember saying that there was a move that was like a differentiation kind of move. I wonder, though, now that Spirit is really looking like it's going to have some problems, like, are they going to, I shouldn't say regret this choice, but like, if they're moving away from that segment, they might be moving away from an opportunity they would otherwise have. I don't know. I'm sure that I shouldn't say I'm sure they know what they're doing, but I mean, I'm sure they have a strategy. They're people that know a lot more than me about how to market an airline, of course. It's interesting.
The lounges will primarily be for top-level members of its True Blue frequent flyer program and those who get a new premium JetBlue credit card that is not yet available.
There's those credit cards.
The airline will also sell day passes if space is available.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll be on like Priority Pass or one of those.
But they're trying to get more of the premium travelers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. We've never been in a lounge, so we obviously aren't premium travelers.
No, maybe in the next year it'll happen. I feel like it almost happened this year, but not quite.
There's a lot of airline news.
Okay.
Looks like shortly after our last news episode came out, there was a cabin pressure issue on a Delta flight that caused passengers to have bloody ears and noses.
That's not good. Was it a 737? I feel like if it was a 737, they would have led with that.
Yeah, probably. It doesn't say.
Like that death trap of an airplane, the 737.
10 individuals needed evaluation or treatment after the flight. It sounds like it happened pretty much right after the plane took off, and they just landed right away. Delta found the issue to fix the pressurization, and the plane was returned to service the following day. So it's not any sort of long-term issue, but it's a scary one.
Yeah.
No one was seriously injured.
Upsetting.
But yeah, going on a plane and bleeding from your nose and your ears would be unpleasant.
Yeah.
All right. And our last little bit of airline news. This is from an incident that happened about a year ago. An Australian passenger is being asked to pay the airline $5,000 for fuel costs after the plane was diverted due to bad behavior. So apparently, shortly after the plane took off, it did not say the name of the passenger or the name of the airline in this. They're, I guess, trying to keep it kind of under wraps. But the plane had to turn around, and because of that, it had to dump a ton of fuel.
Oh, yeah.
So they're now asking the passenger for $5,000.
It's a big deal when planes have to dump fuel. Everyone hates it because it's really bad for the environment and it's really unsafe. But heavy planes, like planes flying long-haul flights, can't usually land well with the amount of fuel that they're carrying when they take off, right? And so that's why they have to do that. Yeah, it's not good.
So the passenger has to pay back $5,800 US dollars for the cost of the wasted fuel, and a court also fined him $6,000. So the grand total for being belligerent on this specific flight was $11,000.
Yeah, I wonder if it was worth it.
I can't imagine that it would be worth $11,000 to like yell at a flight attendant. And
I'm sure it was worse than yelling at a flight attendant.
Yeah, probably.
I'm sure it was worse than that. Not that that's good, but I'm sure it was worse than that.
Yeah. I am glad that this news is Australian and not American.
Yeah.
That we're not the only ones that have the crazy passengers.
That's one way of looking at it, I guess.
Like the ex-NFL passenger that urinated on somebody on a Delta flight recently. Anywho.
Yeah.
So that is it for our airline news. I think it's time for us to take a wine break.
Okay, I'll go find some wine. We're here for the wine break. I literally just went and raided the wine fridge to see what we had up here that was a little different from what we've had. We've had a lot of Michigan wine lately. No surprise, we have a lot of Michigan wine. We've had some California wine lately. And so I was like, what do we have that's not that? And I found this one, which is Greek.
Oh.
It's from Greece. It's a red wine. It's a Merlot. Zacharias, 2020. It is described as a varietal wine. It doesn't say the grape. So it's a Merlot. Ever heard of it? So yeah, I guess without further ado, let's try it and just see what we think. It's been a while since I've had Greek wine. They're almost good. It's got some age, a little age. It's 2020.
It's very fruity.
Yeah, still good fruit. Balanced. Light tannin, which you would, Merlot can be made a lot of different ways, but it's a really round and balanced wine.
I tend to like Merlot.
Yeah. You know, I remember when I first became of the age where you can start drinking wine that I liked Merlot. And then everyone told me that you weren't supposed to like Merlot. And I'm like, why? But okay. And I think what it was that in the massive proliferation of mass market grocery store wines in the 1990s, that Merlot, California Merlot, became like a big, cheap wine. But that is not all Merlot, and thankfully, there are still quality Merlots out there. And as I mentioned, I think last week, Merlot is a very popular blending wine too. Like Merlot is a very complementary wine because it's very flavorful and it's not usually strongly acidic or strongly tannic. So it can kind of fit into a punchier wine and round it out. I think about also a quote from Adam McBride at Hickory Creek, Merlot loves a cool climate too. I don't know about the climate of where this is grown in Greece.
I can't imagine Greece. I don't think Greece is a very cool climate. I would imagine the climate's similar to Italy, right? It's pretty hot.
I don't know, but you're probably right. Anyway, yeah, really nice. I like it a lot. I would recommend it, certainly. Zacharias Merlot 2020. Good wine break.
Play Doug Parker here, and we're going to do some cruise news.
Oh, cruise news.
The first little bit of cruise news I have is there was a gastrointestinal illness outbreak on a Royal Caribbean ship. Norovirus is pretty common on cruise ships, but this one is salmonella.
Which type? Typhoidal or non-typhoidal? Doesn't say. Well, I bring that up because when people talk about salmonella, they often think of non-typhoidal salmonella, which is like the one that is associated with raw eggs. But typhoidal salmonella is typhoid fever.
Oh.
And it is the one that is far more common to be like a mass foodborne illness.
And that makes sense then.
Yeah. You're welcome. Serve safe people out there.
It's the first cruise ship salmonella outbreak in 2024.
Okay.
This outbreak took place on the Radiance of the Seas on a Alaska itinerary, and it looks like about 8% of the passengers and crew were affected. A total of 180 passengers and 3 crew members reported gastrointestinal symptoms.
That's not good.
Altogether, it was 8.29% of the crews, and the CDC requires outbreaks to be reported when the threshold passes 3%. So they're quite a bit up from that.
Yeah.
I'm sure they are doing lots of cleaning and sanitizing and figuring out where that outbreak came from so that the next itinerary is not affected.
Yeah. Okay.
On our September news episode, we talked about a 3.5-year world cruise that had been delayed in Belfast, I think it was, for months. It has finally set sail.
Oh, okay. Good job. Were those people on it that were in that article?
I don't know, because in that article it mentioned that they had the option to get their money back. So I don't know if they stayed and waited, and they're talking about, I think, different people in this.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, after that, maintenance issue they had, everybody boarded the ship, and then there was some sort of paperwork issue. But they have left Belfast.
Okay.
Like 5 months behind schedule, but they're on their way.
Yeah.
And the article does not say. I remember last time you were wondering if they were going to cut their itinerary because of the delay. It doesn't say that anywhere, so I'm going to assume they're going to continue on for 3.5 years.
Okay, cool.
All right, we're going to move to some U.S. travel news. The first one is Clingman's Dome, which is a popular overlook in Great Smoky Mountains National Park, is undergoing a name change back to the Native American name. I don't see any pronunciation guide, so I'm going to do my best. It has been changed to Kuohi, which means mulberry place in the Cherokee language.
Yeah. When I was a little kid, I thought that Clingman's Dome literally referred to the observation tower. Because that tower has like a little dome on the top of it. I mean, it's not quite a dome, but it's like it's a very distinctive observation tower. If you haven't seen it, you should go look up a picture of it. But yeah, I thought that the Clingman's Dome was just like the dome.
The tower, not the tower.
Because you don't often refer to a mountain as a dome, right? But apparently in this case, we used to.
Yes. In other national park news, trails in Glacier National Park are closed due to increased bear activity. Oh. Someone was apparently bit on the leg in the Grinnell Glacier Trail, which is one of the most popular trails in the park.
Yeah, sure. Did we walked on part of that?
Yes.
Just like a little bit of it.
Yes, and that was the spot where there was a ranger at the bottom that's like, don't do it.
Right. Because we were there in mid-ish June, and it was still, there's a lot of snow.
Yeah, we got to the park just a few days before they opened the Going to the Sun Road for the season, which if you're familiar with Glacier National Park, it's the iconic drive through the park. But because of the high elevation and the amount of snow that they get, there is so much snow that it takes them literally months to clear this road. So the trail, the Grinnell Glacier Trail, has the same issue. It was just not passable unless you had like snowshoes or something like that. So they literally had a ranger standing there being like, we don't want to have to rescue you. Please don't do this.
You can imagine like the emotional drama of being bit in the leg by a bear, because like on one hand, you just got bit in the leg by a bear. Like, that's not great. But on the other hand, you only got bit in the leg, like, thankfully, That's crazy, though.
Park officials said that the hiking party encountered foggy conditions, which likely caused it so the bear didn't see them and they didn't see it. Yeah.
The bear used the fog as a cover. No, I get it.
And the party had all the correct emergency and safety equipment, such as first aid kit and emergency communications.
Bear spray.
Probably they didn't say that.
That's probably how he was only bitten away.
Right.
Yeah.
The Garden Wall, Grinnell Glacier Overlook, Highline Trail, Highline Hill, and Sperry Glacier, Sperry Chalet are currently closed due to bear activity. Which Sperry Chalet was that really cool looking backcountry.
I want to go there someday. Yeah. We should go back to Glacier. I know we've been so focused on Europe lately, but go back there. Yeah, let's do it. Want to go now?
No, there's a lot of bear activity.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
All right. In other news, not out of the national parks, Amtrak is launching a new route from Chicago to Miami that will temporarily combine the Capital Limited and Silver Star lines to minimize disruptions during planned construction in New York.
Oh, so this is temporary.
So it's only temporary, but it looks pretty cool. It would be very cool if they...
Why don't they do this ongoing?
I don't know.
Because I was looking at it too, and one of the things that's exciting about it is it hits Toledo at a more reasonable time. It's still very late, but we could potentially get on in Toledo and not be like 3 a.m. The other thing that I like about it is it seems like the prices are really good compared to when I looked at taking a train to Florida before. It was way expensive. So it's a lot less. Like, maybe if it's successful, they'll keep it. I can just hope, I guess.
The route is called the Floridian, and it will make its inaugural trip on November 10th from Chicago all the way to Miami.
Cool. We should do it.
So unless you've been living under a rock, or maybe I guess if you don't live in the U.S., you wouldn't be aware of this, but Hurricane Helene hit land recently and caused absolute destruction. Especially, it seemed like the worst of it was in western North Carolina. So we've got a few headlines around Hurricane Helene. The city of Asheville, North Carolina, has practically been washed away. Many small businesses in Asheville are struggling. The Biltmore estate suffered minimal damage to the actual mansion, but a lot of the nearby property was pretty much destroyed. So Asheville is one of those places that I've wanted to go for a really long time. And the Biltmore, I think right now they were having a Chihuly exhibit that looked amazing.
Oh, yeah, I had heard about that actually before this.
I was kind of maybe thinking, oh, we could go to Asheville sometime in November, but obviously that is not happening right now.
Yeah.
And the southern end of the Appalachian Trail is currently closed due to Hurricane Helene damage.
Springer Mountain, Georgia.
So basically, if you had any plans to visit western North Carolina, now is not the time. Most likely, you're going to want to donate to recovery and move your vacation plans elsewhere. As much as those kind of areas depend on tourist revenue, now is not the time to be visiting. You want to kind of give them some time and some space to recover. In other news, U.S. passport wait times have decreased by about 2 weeks. So if you are in need of a new passport, like me, the State Department is now saying that regular service will take 4 to 6 weeks, down from 6 to 8. So
okay, 6 to 8 is still not bad too, considering how bad it was. A year ago it was. You heard taking a couple months or whatever. So good. Glad that's getting under control again.
Yes, and I need to do that soon. All right. In news from other destinations around the world, probably one of the stranger travel headlines I've seen. Uber is launching a safari experience in South Africa.
You did send that one to me.
I did send that to you.
That's interesting.
When I saw it, because I was like, I'm sorry, what? Why? How? I have so many questions.
They must see an opportunity. The question is, do you book it on the app moments before? And when you do book it, does it say it'll start in 5 minutes, but it's more like 7 or 8? Is that how it works?
The new Uber Safari option, which will be available on Fridays and Saturdays through January 25th, will cost just $200 for up to 4 people for the day. The experience is bookable in the Uber app up to 90 days in advance.
If you run into a bunch of elephants, is there surge pricing?
Travelers who book the safari will be whisked away from Cape Town to the Aquila Private Game Reserve in an Uber Safari branded vehicle. You'll be greeted with a welcome toast and lunch before boarding a traditional safari vehicle for a game drive. So I guess if you have plans to visit South Africa, Uber is making a once-in-a-lifetime experience a little bit more affordable.
I can't imagine this is your best option. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but It just can't be. Usually when there's a convenience factor, it's not your best option, right?
Apparently, this isn't Uber's first venture into interesting experiences. Earlier this year, the company offered champagne-fueled trips to Epernay in France. And last year, they launched hot air balloon rides in Cappadocia, Turkey.
Oh.
So I don't understand. Yeah. I don't know why.
I would imagine most of Uber's regular customers, South Africa is not an easy place to get to. So what, you're going to fly 12 hours plus and then be like, oh, but I need a quick safari. Let me book it. No, I know. I got the 90-day thing. I'm not saying it's a bad idea for them. I just wonder about, like, would that really be the right choice as a traveler? I don't know. It's interesting. I'm sure it's like a partnership, right? Probably Uber's not paying these people, like the employees.
I have no idea. It's an Uber-branded vehicle.
Uber doesn't really like to have employees, actually.
That's a strange one. Anyway.
Yeah.
Moving over to Europe, Eurostar, which is a train company, is joining the SkyTeam Alliance.
Oh. Yeah, railroads are not normally in airline alliances, right? Or whatever they call
No, this is the first the first land-based option that will be in the SkyTeam Alliance.
And it's for points, right? Like you would earn points on one and you could redeem it on the other.
Yes, and also it looks like they're going to, kind of like what you were talking about earlier with the kind of vacation packages.
Oh.
You can book a flight and then a train.
Yeah, you know, French Bee does that with the French National Railway. They have a partnership. It's not like the same as Star Alliance or SkyTeam or whatever you said. The SkyTeam. But where you can get, like, you can book what did I say, French Bee? Yeah, you can book a French Bee flight to some city in France where French Bee doesn't fly. They like put you on a train in Paris and ship you off. But yeah, interesting. Eurostar goes to the Channel, I think. Yeah, it was fun to say.
And my last piece of news for this episode is flooding from seasonal rains threatens residents in northern Thailand. I'm playing a video with sound. I'm going to read you that. Flooding from seasonal rains threatens residents in northern Thailand, including elephants.
That's like a downer to leave this on.
Should we switch it?
It's okay. It's okay. I mean, that's the way the world is sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So residents in the city of Chiang Mai and its outskirts are looking for higher ground as there is flooding, and evacuations were underway at the Elephant Nature Park, which houses 3,000 rescued animals, including 125 elephants, 800 dogs, 2,500 cats, 200 rabbits, and 200 cows.
Wow. Chiang Mai is like a big digital nomad destination, right?
Yes.
I feel like people go there.
Yeah. And probably should get to see elephants, too.
Yeah.
The floodwaters are caused by heavy rainfall, seasonal monsoon rains, and the effects of Typhoon Yagi.
Let's say it one more time.
Heavy seasonal monsoon rains and the effects of Typhoon Yagi combined to create serious flooding in many parts of Thailand, with the northern region being hit the worst.
Yeah. I don't have much to say about that other than it's too bad.
It's sad, and hopefully they can save all the elephants.
Yeah.
I mean, of all the things that they said after humans, obviously, like, elephants are so endangered. You need to get them to safety. And more rain is in the forecast. So.
Okay.
All right. Well, now that thank you for listening to our second news podcast. Once again, if you like this format, please let us know. If you don't like it, also let us know. Well, thanks for listening to this episode of Go See Do Explore, and we will be back next week with hopefully some more lighthearted material.
Yeah. All right. That's all for today's episode of Go See Do Explore. Thank you for joining us and sharing in the wonder of travel.
Keep the spirit of today's adventure alive by checking out our blog at goseedoexplore.com for even more travel inspiration.
Don't forget to rate and review us wherever you listen to your podcasts. It really helps fellow travelers find us and join our community.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep dreaming, and keep traveling by any means necessary.
I'm Christopher.
And I'm Ashleigh, bidding you farewell and happy exploring.